Hi, I'm La Super Comadre from RadioCrystalUSA.com, and I just want to tell you a little bit about who I am and what I do. So, La Super Comadre, my platform is all about bringing people on, special guests, who either do something for the community, who have done something for the community, who match up the pillars of what my show is about, which is about taking care of your heart and soul, which is about political engagement, which is about education. So every person that comes on can be a super comadre or a super compadre, someone that's out there doing something for the community. So I invite you all to listen and to watch every Tuesday when we record the show. But it also repeats on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning and at 10 o'clock at night on RadioCrystalUSA.com. And don't forget to give us a like. Adios.
I was told to pretend like someone's pulling my hair. So, speaking of pulling hair, welcome back. Bienvenidos al show de la Super Comadre. It's been a hot minute, and it's been super hot here in Houston, but we're back in the studios here at SDC Builds. I want to give a shout out to Tony Garcia. He's opened up the doors for Radio Cristal to be here to record and to connect you guys to amazing guests. And I want to reconnect you to someone that's been here in the past. And she is back.
Hello.
Hola, Cici. Now, the last time you were here and when you officially became a Super Comadre, you were running for a position.
Yes.
So I want you to give an update. What position were you running for? and what was the outcome? So get comfy and let's just share, because I want everyone to hear the story.
Yes. So thank you for having me. First off, I'm so excited to be back at my favorite show of all time. So again, my name is Stacy. I've been running for a state board of education seat here in Houston. There are 15 board members in the state, and I was am vying for one of those positions, which is in the Houston area. And when I came here last time, I was in the middle of a heated primary.
Yes.
There were 5 people in the race, and then it dwindled down to the top 2 people. And I think at the time I came, it was me and my opponent at the time, just battling it out for that top spot. And luckily and thankfully, we had a primary runoff election. Texas is one of, correct me if I'm wrong, my political gurus, one of the 11 states that actually have runoff elections. And I was successful. I was able to come out on top. So I will say that I have been trying to regroup over the past few months, because running for office is probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Yes. I haven't had kids yet, though, so I know that's probably going to take the top spot. But luckily, I don't have an opponent in November. So prayerfully and hopefully, I'll be the member that'll be sworn in January.
Congratulations. We'll go ahead and celebrate now. Because cheers, clean. So now it's been a whirlwind. You've been running, like literally running, like physically as well as getting yourself into this position. So much has happened since the last time we spoke. You came out to my school, to the library. We were honored to have you there to share your journey, who Stacey Child is, what your book. You're an author. She's an author. Is author, educator, and so now stepping into this role, I mean, you just, it's natural.
Thank you.
It's natural. So, and then we had, I want to talk a little bit about back to school. What are you seeing now that you are potentially gonna, you're gonna be where you went. Now that you're gonna step into it, what are the top 3 things that are they still the same? Have they changed now that you're in it? What are you seeing that's the first, second, third thing that you feel coming into this should be taken care of or looked at? And then for me, the number one thing that I'm seeing is like school safety.
Right.
School safety, and then how can we help not lose more teachers?
Right.
So talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So when I was running, I was really big on being an advocate for mental health, not just for students, but for teachers too. And making sure that the curriculum that was being taught to students was fun and inviting for students. But now, after hearing from people, after seeing what's going on in the district, my priorities have changed quite a bit. Firstly, school safety is the number one issue.
Mhm.
I don't think students or teachers should feel scared to go to school.
Mhm.
I mean, for me, school was my refuge.
Yeah.
It was my safe haven.
Mhm.
And I think that's the same for a lot of students. So we need to do something about that. But also, I was told today, at least for Houston ISD, that they have a teacher shortage of nearly 1,000 classrooms.
1,000 classrooms.
1,000.
I
Not exactly 1,000, but very close to 1,000 teachers that need to be put in classrooms. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
For one city. That's not statewide. That's just one city. Imagine all the other districts and their shortages. So what I've been thinking of is what we can do to make more people want to get excited about education. What incentives we can provide to teachers to get them to stay. I mean, they're tired of being underpaid. And now I have to be afraid to go to the schools too? No, I'm not
You
going to
got
tolerate it.
double whammy there. Because I did see a survey that said about 77% of the teachers are saying that they're ready to quit.
That's a lot.
That's
That's
lot.
almost everybody.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Do you think is it just a question of, okay, let's pay them more? And I agree. I put myself in there because I was one of the teachers that stepped out. I was a librarian, and you're still a teacher because you're still working with all the kids in the school. But something else came up, and I couldn't turn it down. And the money was there, and it was still working in a capacity where I'm working with moms and their babies and to get them ready for school. So I'm still kind of like.
Right, and that's kind of why I started my program for girls, Girl Talk, and I wrote that book. You know, the main character is a girl because I wanted to be connected to students, and I still will forever be. But being in the classroom, I think for teachers, and teachers correct me if I'm wrong, it used to be fun, and they used to have a lot more autonomy with what they taught and how they taught. But I think with everybody feeling so stressed out about being an A-rated school or meeting requirements that the district and the state is putting on them, they're like, look, teach it this way. I don't want any excuses about it. And it's not what it used to be. Yeah. I think that the teachers are there. I commend them every day because it's not easy work.
Too. It's not easy.
If you're going to be putting all these requirements on me and I still have to choose which bills I'm going to pay every time I get paid, that's just not a way to live. It's
not because that's undue stress.
Yeah.
And then it takes out the joy of trying to do what's right for kids. So, okay, raising the pay, I see that. Now the mental health piece. What do you think would be the best way, or what are some ideas, or have you seen other programs in other cities or districts of what are they doing to take care of the teachers that are there so we don't lose them? And then also incentivize those that, it looks like they got some well-awareness program or, I want to join the district.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think for one, I know when I was a teacher, they had the EAP program where you were allotted a certain amount of visits to a mental health specialist.
And talk about EAP.
If I'm not mistaken, it's Employee Assistance Program.
Okay.
So if for the teachers that don't know, your district likely has allotted a few free appointments for you to go to their mental health clinic or to choose your own mental health specialist to vent and get what you need. A lot of teachers don't know about that. And if you're only given 8 to 10 opportunities, that's just really building the relationship with the therapist. That's not enough.
You're just getting started.
And it's like you're dropped off after the 8th visit.
The tip of the iceberg.
So I think mental health counseling should be available to all, not just all students, but all teachers too. Okay. And you shouldn't have to be suicidal just to get it. No. You should be able to get it. You shouldn't have to check off all these boxes to qualify. I think we should take away a lot of the red tape from the process for getting services for teachers. And also, incentives aren't just financial.
Yeah.
I remember one year I was a teacher. We walked in the teacher's lounge at this school and we saw massage tables just laid out in the teacher's lounge. And we were like, what is happening today? And
is that for me?
And the massage therapists were like, come on. And it was fantastic. But it was only once.
Yeah. Something regular. Sounds like it sounds okay. So money helps too.
Yes.
Because that way
money first.
Because if you are able to take care of your bills and your necessities and what you need to not survive, but to live, to thrive, then you can go to your work and do what you need to do. And then the stresses that come with that job, with any job, you're able to handle them because you have the necessities taken care of. That's what it sounds like. you're right about massage or something. There are some, I gotta hand it, there are some principals out there, and I was one, where you would try to come up with some stuff, like
to make them feel appreciated.
to make them feel appreciated, and ask them. I think that's one thing that sometimes we forget to do as administrators. We think that because we want to get a massage, everybody wants to get a massage.
I don't like people touching on me.
I don't mind. I don't mind you touch me, touch my feet, whatever. But like ask too, like, is it that they want an extra planning period? Is that they want, maybe, can you leave home early one day? You know, is it that, you know, wear jeans all week, which people should wear jeans, period. You know, just to be comfy. But being innovative. Now that you're stepping into this role of being at the state level, what can be done, and what can you do, and how can these ideas that could potentially, you know, that could help? How can you push this? Do you like tell people? How you meet with people? You convince people? You persuade people? How do you visualize that?
So what I've been learning already is that each board or each group of elected officials only has a small section of power, or a small realm of things that they can do within their capacity. So it's going to take a lot of collaboration in order to get some of these things done. For example, I was told that the PPR, or the test that teachers have to take to get certified, is not the best test. Yeah. Something needs to be done to make the certification process a little better for potential teachers. Well, the State Board of Education members don't necessarily decide that. The SBEC does. Okay. But I can convey what the members of my district have been telling me about the test to try to get them to move.
So having that on the forefront.
Right.
So you're able to take this issue and say, look, this is what I'm hearing.
We need to change this.
We need to do something. Yeah. Okay.
Because I think the SBEC members, I mean, they decide those things, but we are supposed to be the members that hear from the district to bring these concerns to Educator Certification Board, state representatives, because they deal with the funding and what's getting funneled down to the actual schools, and even to the local school board members.
Okay. So you said SBEC. So for those that are not, that's like education speak. So spell it out for the peeps.
Sure. So SBEC is the State Board of Educators Certification.
And then PPR is the, I forgot.
Professional proficiency. No.
PPR.
I have to look it up.
Don't get me lying.
Yeah, you're gonna give me the line too.
That all
it's
teachers
professional
take.
practice and responsibility.
Yeah.
Or professional second P and responsibility exam.
And these are certifications that all teachers need to take once they're about to step into the classroom, or you are on an emergency permit.
Right.
Now I'm seeing some stuff that I'm like, why are we dealing with this versus curriculum, instruction, mental health? I just saw some story about CPAC whose their main thing was, which is a Christian or conservative political action committee, who have put out like their memo that we're going to tackle certain things, and one of them is to try and start putting ideas or what have you into local school boards here in not school boards, district boards, and one of them is focusing on "In God We Shall Trust" signs. That if the school receives this, that it's okay to take that donation of that sign. And there's a lot of hoopla about that. I mean, I'm all about prayer. I pray all the time. When I was in the classroom, I prayed all the time to myself. I prayed, but I don't understand how can we make sure that we are focused on instruction and curriculum? What can people do? What can parents do? What can the community do? Because I get it. Yeah. That group wants certain things to be passing through. Yeah. But there's other things to consider.
I think our country clearly separates church from state, right? So
in writing.
Right. So although, I mean, I would consider myself to be a spiritual or religious person, it has no place in schools for me. I mean, I think that's putting too much pressure on students. But the problem is, these groups are galvanizing their base. They're going to these meetings and they're speaking out and they're making a hoopla about whatever it is that they're concerned about. Are we doing that?
Then we need to.
Are we drying out? We have the SBOE, which is the State Board of Education. They're convening starting today and tomorrow and Thursday and Friday. How many parents and teachers in district are driving to Austin to make their voices heard? Now, and I won't put all the blame on the parents, because it's our responsibility to inform them to utilize their voice. But that's the difference.
Yeah.
That's why you're seeing all this stuff on the news about, different groups and different political organizations. And you're like, this is not even important.
It's not.
But they're using their voice.
But they're using their voice. So what I'm hearing is that what we need to make sure is that we're trying to figure out ways. If you can't go in person, can you Zoom?
Depending. But yeah.
Okay, depending. And because we do need to make sure that we put important things at the forefront. Like you going and stating to SBEC, like, hey, this test, we got to do something about it.
That's right.
The same thing, we need to make sure that we let you know, but then also hear, like getting involved. Like, how important is it for parents to go and show up at a school board, like their local district board?
Very important. I'll say,
some people may say, I don't even want to go. Why should I go? I'm just going to be there. What are they going to do?
Not true. When I was in law school, I say the year was 2016. So about 6 years ago, I was working with a group, and we would meet because we wanted the school board to change their policy with suspending pre-K through second graders. And we met, and then we finally started speaking at school board meetings. And after about the third or fourth time, they heard us.
Okay.
And they changed the policy.
Nice.
I mean, even if they didn't change it, right, they heard us.
Yeah.
And it was put on their radar.
Okay.
But if you're not doing those things, how are they supposed to know what you need? They can't read minds.
True.
So I think more people need to take that serious.
Okay.
There's another guy. His name is Gary Chambers. He's running for Senate in Louisiana. And I remember before he started running for Senate, he would be a parent going to school board meetings. And he happened to see one of the school board members shopping on her computer during the school board meeting. And he was like, I'm just getting up here to say that you suck because you're using our taxpayer dollars to shop. When you could just do that when you get home, right?
Exactly.
So even if it's just calling out people who are vying for these roles and not doing anything, it's important to use your voice.
Okay.
It's important.
So get involved. And I know that it's so easy for us to say it because we have certain privileges, right? Jobs, education. But, we pay into that. No matter where you stand, what work you do, what country you're from. But if you're buying stuff, if you're working, you're paying into a system. So this system that is a school system, that it's like we are almost like the boss, right? So maybe like, how do we continue to do what the other groups are doing?
People may not agree with what I'm about to say, but I think there are a lot of parents that work and they have these jobs and they're really trying to make ends meet for their families. But I want to take a step forward and say, I don't think we empower our parents enough because I believe that when I was a teacher, even if some of these parents had 3 jobs and I said, hey, I need you to come into the classroom. If I gave them enough notice, they would even take off work. They would even take a hit to their paychecks because I empowered them. I need you to come. I'm counting on you to come. This is important, not for me, but for you too. Most of these parents, regardless of their financial situation, will make the effort to come.
They will.
They just need to know their power.
That, and I think another piece too, is make them feel welcome.
Yeah, that's true.
I think there's a lot of pieces because sometimes what I've seen, and and it might not be liked what I'm going to say, but one thing is saying we want parent involvement, we want this, we want you to be here, we want you to come here. But then when a parent shows up, there's so many layers, and then or language barriers, or my conference is only from 9:30 to 10 at a.m. and maybe there's a parent that really can't do 9:30 to 10, right? What are some? I guess just putting it out there. What are we doing? If we're saying, if the slogan on the wall or my t-shirt says, we want parents, all parents welcome, unified, whatever, what are the actions to make sure that the parents feel welcome? And I have seen it in some schools.
Yeah, I think we need to ask the parents, firstly.
Yeah.
And I think it varies on age, on culture, on location in the city or in the district, that some parents need different things.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember, and this is my fault, I don't ever remember asking the parents, what time is best for you? Like to have a class-wide conference, morning or evening, how late, how early, what do you like to eat? What snacks would you like? I didn't really I was a good teacher, but I didn't take that initiative. I think that would have made a difference.
Yeah. But you did make
Yeah, I did.
But you
I did. But you know,
you
I
did.
mean,
But even like going back now, like what are some amazing things that do work? Like what is working to get parents involvement? Because parent involvement, you just can't just say, okay, everybody come. It takes time. It's relationship.
That's right.
You know, making sure that there's an open door policy, making sure it's safe, right? Because of the times we're in.
That's a tough.
But open door, like I cannot tell you that even within the same district, I've been in certain schools where it's a lockdown situation, literally, and people look at you like, and I get it because they're like, well, who are you? I understand, but you know, I'm just once they get to know you, they're like, okay, soften up.
Yeah.
But I had the experience recently at my daughter's middle school where everyone was pretty kind, and I was actually taken aback. I was expecting to go to battle with people. Like I was ready to, I wasn't going to pull out names or credentials or who I knew, but I'm like, let me put that aside.
Right.
Let me just show up and say, please, I need some help with something. Everyone that I came across was so helpful and so nice. And they responded to emails. And then I started thinking, damn, I think I sucked. I don't think I was that. I mean, I was responsive, but I don't think I was that responsive.
Yeah, but you know, every school has its strengths and weaknesses. I remember the last school where I taught. I mean, it was a great experience, and I really tried to empower the parents to come in the classroom and volunteer. Yes. But the culture of the school wasn't like that. Especially the higher you go up in grade level, it's like they're coming where? Yeah, to sit in the class. Why? You know, so that was interesting. But I think once we get a handle on school safety, I think we can streamline the welcoming atmosphere of schools. We need to bring it back.
Yeah, and then once you're there, you know, how do we? Because it's almost like you have to give some support, especially. And I'm coming from my experience of being in the bilingual setting, where a lot of moms, you know, they wanted to become part of this, but they didn't know how. Right. And then a lot of the newcomers, wherever they came from in the Latin American countries, there's this idea that lo que diga el maestro, whatever the teacher says. Right. Versus no, it's not what I say. I need you to tell me, like, how's your child at home? What do you see that I don't see? Or this is what happened at school. Yeah, they would just literally bring their kids to my classroom and say, you take care of them. If you need to pull their ear. If you need to hit them. You need to spank them. You got all the power. Oh. And it's not.
The parents actually have the power. To me, the parents have the information. Whatever you tell me can help me teach your child better.
And I was like, I'm not going to hit your kid. Yeah, but thank you for having all that respect. Right. Yeah, but no, I'm like, no, it's a partnership. Like you said, it's like I'm going to do better because I'm going to have you there. And even if you can't show up, like phone call, text, call me, especially during the pandemic.
And when the student knows that the parent and the teacher are working in tandem, they're like, oh, I just got to do it.
I might as well just sit down. Let me just pretend over here in the corner for a bit and then finally do something. Yeah. So biggest obstacle that you think you're going to come across as you move into this position? What do you think is the biggest obstacle?
Well, I ran as a Democrat. Yeah. And first of all, the State Board of Education is largely conservative. But now some of the more liberal-leaning conservatives on the State Board of Education have been defeated by even more conservative Republicans, which means the SBOE as a whole will be extremely conservative and starting in January. So I'm afraid that a lot of the things I'm passionate about and care about will fall on deaf ears or will often lose to a majority vote. But that won't stop me.
That won't stop you. Good.
That won't stop me. I think one thing that's important to me is the social studies curriculum. Obviously, that's been very controversial. Yeah, it has been. And they're pushing this vote back to, decide on the social studies curriculum until January when the super conservative board is in office. Why we can't do it now? Why it's not important now? So those are some of the things, some of those political things that I'll be learning. I mean, this is my first time running and being in office. So it'll be an uphill battle.
Okay, but you're going to keep trudging forward.
Of course.
Keep trudging forward. And then in the meantime, let us know back home, like, what is it that we need to do?
versus if it's a phone call, if it's, finding a way to get a bus of parents to go and speak and go to a hearing. Even me, I mean, when I went to a hearing to go speak, I was nervous.
Yeah.
I do this all the time.
I like to speak too, but I get nervous too. I mean, that's a normal thing, but it's necessary.
It's how do we make sure that those voices are heard? Because, and then now we are in election. We're having an election in November.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I don't know. All I know is that I understand that there's political systems and there's groups, but the one thing that I'm like, what can we do to make sure that as we stand forth with whatever it is that needs to happen, that it's not just about one group of people, that all kids need to be in a safe school.
That's right.
All kids need to have access to a curriculum that is correct and vetted and professor or research based. All kids need to have, a chance to grow and develop and move forward and have their talents, grown and fostered. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's, I don't care where you're from, but
I don't know how that message gets lost though.
I don't understand it either. Mm-hmm. I don't understand how
it makes sense when you're talking to
them,
right?
It does make sense to people that have sense. But when the issue is a flag that says "In God We Trust," that's, I pray, and I'm Catholic, Christian, whatever you want to call it, but I want to know, how is that sign going to keep my kids safe?
But why is that sign more important than the fact that there are students in Houston
mental
who
health
are in the 12th grade reading at a 3rd grade reading level?
Exactly.
Why don't you care about that?
Let's focus on what we need to do. If we're doing the same thing and we're getting the same outcome, isn't that called insanity?
Right.
So I want you to hold on to your sanity.
I will.
And I want you to continue climbing up that hill.
I will.
And we will be here in Houston rooting you on.
Thank you.
And my thought is making sure that we are developing the next school board members, district level, local level, state level, so that we can make sure that the voices continue to be heard.
Yes.
So I think there's going to be another wave at some point where we can have a balance.
There will be
of ideas.
There's always that
that pendulum swinging.
Yeah, there will
but
be.
Focusing on what's best for kids. Is a sign that says "In God We Trust" best for kids, or is making sure that we have mental health support so that these kids can thrive and learn and feel safe? Like, that needs to be at the middle of every decision. How is this going to help our kids? Y punto final. That's what they say. And period. That's in Spanish. Period.
No.
So final words. Thank you so much, Super Comadre, for coming back.
I'm excited to be here.
Yes.
I would just say, please make sure that you all vote for me, but vote for everyone that you're passionate about. If you don't know what's on the ballot, because it is a midterm election, just take 5 minutes to Google midterm elections where you live to become a better human, just a better citizen. And instead of tearing down your local officials and candidates, build them up. I heard a lot of stuff on the campaign trail, not just about me, but just about
in general
candidates in general. And now that you're hearing from one, it's a tough battle. So build them up rather than tear them down.
And I will always be one to build up. Yes, we sometimes want to get into that slinging, but I'm like, what for? I'd rather spend the energy on, like, what do we need to do?
That's right.
How can we help these kids and these teachers? And that's it.
That's right.
That's right. Let's focus on that. All right. So Liliana, where are you, Super Comadre?
Aquí ando, comadre, acá atrás de
Well, we are at the end, and I'm so glad that she has come back to share now that she is literally sitting in, what would they say, sitting at the helms or Captain Kirk's chair. There's so many sayings, but I'm like Latina, Spanish, dominant, first language. So a lot of those things kind of go over my head. But thank you so much for taking the time. I'm looking forward, and hopefully you can come back and we'll check in on what we need to continue doing here in Houston.
For sure.
For our students and our teachers.
For sure. We will see what comes out of this meeting this week. I won't be going to Austin, but I'm sure I'll find out what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know.
All right, Liliana.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Un saludo a la gente que se conectó desde Laredo, Texas.
Hello,
Hey.
it's la prima Ana. Hola, Ana. She actually is in education down here in Laredo.
Oh.
Yeah, she's been in education for many years. I have a lot of family members down there in Laredo, Texas, who are in education.
Nice to see you.
Yes. And there's Itza Garcia.
Hey.
Hi, Itza. Hey. We're getting ready for Hey, Comadre. Are you ready, Comadre?
I am ready.
All right.
Well,
So,
these are for you.
And
So
somebody wrote, it makes sense to people who have sense.
I love it. Quote of the year.
Yes.
I got the quote of the year. It makes sense to
you do.
people who have sense. Claudia Macias. And Stacey Childs.
Amen.
We have
All right.
authored an official quote.
Boom.
Period. I say it in Spanish, you say it in English. Punto final.
Period.
All right, Liliana. Well, saludos a todos. I'm so glad y'all chimed in and listened and had a chance to revisit with Stacey Childs, Board of Ed, Texas. She's going to be stepping in, going up that hill, and going to go to battle for kids, no matter where they're from,
right.
and making sure that the voices are heard of what the needs are here in Houston. So,
That's right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you. Yes, good to see you.
Good to
again.
see you. Good to see you.
Yes. So you